Today I'm going to show you how to make your own T-track in the shop. I'm Ron Paulk, and this is the Smart Wood Shop. If you'd like to get a detailed set of plans to build a smart wood shop for yourself or one of my workbenches, link in the description of this video down below. It'll take you to our website, to our store, where you can purchase and download plans instantaneously 24/7, 365. You'll also find some affiliate links from some great companies that if you purchase using those links, they'll share a little bit with us, not charge you any extra, and it helps support the channel. Why spend the time and energy making T-track in the shop when you can just purchase it? Well, there's a couple of good reasons. One, to save cost. If you make it yourself, you can save quite a bit of money. Number two is getting the size that you need. A lot of the T-tracks on the market are limited to about 4 feet. A lot of my fixtures and tools, I need 6 feet and beyond. And I've found that the very few places that offer longer T-track have a problem with the cost of shipping. Once it goes over a certain point, the cost for them to ship it to you goes up exponentially. And if you make your own T-track, there are different cutters you can get to make different sizes for different needs. Not only the width of the actual cut for the T, but also the width of the cut down the middle. So this can vary depending on what your needs are, whether you're going to run splines down there, whether you have a larger fixture that you want more bite, or whether you're constrained to a tighter space. Making your own T-track allows you to customize it to your needs. You will need to buy a couple of router bits, but you get to use them over and over to make as much T-track as you need. I've been using this Rockler T-track bit for a while now. It's a 1/2-inch bit, and the shaft on it is 5/16. So the minimum dado that you can make is 5/16. So it requires you to at first make a 5/16 cut and then pass through with this. Recently I picked up a T-slot bit from Whiteside, and it gives me the exact size of T-slot as my previous one, which has worked out well. But the shaft is 1/4 inch. What I like about that is I can still run the 5/16 because I just center. I can run it wider if I want to make a wider spline. But this allows me to go all the way down to a 1/4 inch. And I do a lot of 1/4-20 hex head bolts in my T-slots. And so this allows me to get closer to that. So I'm recommending this Whiteside bit and then an upcut spiral 1/4 inch bit as the primary way to make your T-track. And again, if I wanted to make a little wider spline, I could go with a wider bit and still use this same 1/4 inch slot cutter. Now there are some bits on the market. You'll find lots of them if you search on Amazon. There's a lot of very inexpensive bits, and they have cutters on the shaft. I have not purchased those. I've read reviews on them. I've watched other YouTubers talk about them, and the results are marginal at best. It seems that even with those, they're recommending that you first make your dado cut with a clean cut with a cutter. And it doesn't have to be an upcut spiral. It can be a straight cutter as well. I just prefer this. I feel I get a cleaner cut. I'm working on a couple of projects in the shop right now to do with T-track. I'm trying to design a T-track that will work with my miter stands, with my total station, with my stop blocks. And I've gotten pretty close. This is where I decided I wanted to go with a smaller cut for the actual throat because of the spline that I've already designed that works well. The Paulk Smart Router Fence has a split fence with a T-track near the top for these feather boards and stop blocks. I'm going to show you how easy it is to make that. Now I want this T-track to run all the way across, but this is 2 pieces. So the easiest way to do it is to make 1 piece, which is the exact length that I want and height, make the cut, and then I can make the angle cuts in the middle right where I need them, and then I'll have both pieces. The first step is to make the dado so that the T-bit can follow straight through that. They're going to be lined up exactly the same distance from the edge. So once I set the fence up, then it'll be in the same position for both cuts. I use a heavy duty Milwaukee 3.5 horsepower router in all of my router tables. And it has a 1/2 inch chuck, and it didn't come with a 1/4 inch one, but you can get these reducers that are 1/2 inch on the outside and a 1/4 inch on the inside, and just drop them right in and they work perfectly. So I'll drop that in. I'm going to take my spiral cutter, and again, I could use a straight cutter as well. This dado is going to be a 1/2 inch deep. I like to use metric, so I'm going to set it at 12 millimeters. And then I know I want this slot to be 25 millimeters to the center from the top edge. The top lip on aluminum T-track is pretty thin. Obviously, it's a lot stronger than wood. I want to go with my top lip a minimum of 3 millimeters, so between 3 and 4 millimeters. The top of your T-track is face down on the router table, so what's important is the distance between the router table and the bottom edge of the bit. So I've got my mark, and I'll set looking at the bottom edge of the cutter, and I'll adjust it until I can see that mark. Ideally, you'd take a piece of scrap, do your test cut to make sure it was just right. With only 2 passes on the router, I have this beautiful T-track set up nicely to fit a 1/4 inch hex head bolt. Flange head bolts and square head bolts will fit in the T-track just as well as the hex head, but all 3 of them will rotate inside of the T-track because of the size of it. They're not trapped. There is a bit of friction from wood, more so than with aluminum, so I don't have a lot of trouble with these kind of holding on while I spin the knob and tighten it down. My favorite bolt to use is a carriage head because it has this lug right underneath the head that will trap itself inside of the 1/4 inch slot. So we can slide those in and then it won't rotate. I'll put links in the video description below of this Whiteside T-track cutter and this upcut spiral bit that I use to make this T-track. If you enjoyed this video, if you learned anything, if you'd like to see me make more, be sure to give me a thumbs up and subscribe. And remember, when you subscribe, ring that little bell so you'll know when I put up a new video. Thanks for dropping into the Smart Wood Shop. You stay safe and have a great day.